Hey everybody, it is Billy with BTUFF and the Motor City Throwdown. We are here at sunny Hearst Castle, California, near San Simeon. We're gonna do a little day trip, me and Sammy here. Yeah, it's super cool. She's never been here before. And this is a great idea for someone that may want to satisfy the amusement park itch, but doesn't want to pay the amusement park prices or the amusement park parking. Parking here is free, right? That is good. That's gonna save, actually, the price that you will pay for parking at other amusement parks will pay for your pass into here. Adults are $30, kids are $15, I believe. I am excited to show you this. I haven't been here in a while, so I'd imagine some of it's gonna be the same and there's gonna be some other things that are a little bit different, but we'll get inside and I will show you what's going on in there, and hopefully it's a fun day for us. We'll take a look at it. If you don't like lines and you don't like overcrowding that you get at normal amusement parks, you're gonna love this because it is not overly crowded. At least I don't think so. It doesn't feel like it so far. Towards the left, you wanna go to the restroom, you can use that. And they have, and souvenir shops, I guess, over here. Yeah, we'll go check it out. Not a huge line, right? I like that. All right, so we got our wristbands, and there you go. 45 bucks for both of us to come in here. They do have multiple tours you can take. If you've never been here before, I would suggest that you take the one that sees the pools. There's a main tour that I would suggest that you take, and I don't know if it's number 1, 2, or 3, or 4, but I would suggest doing the main tour. They do have a really cool theater on hand that I would recommend you watching. It's free to everybody that goes on the tour. I think it'd probably be better to watch before, but you know, before or after. Runs every 45 minutes, and definitely worth checking out. It's a really cool documentary that they have, and it'll help you understand a lot of how this all happened. So here in the theater, you'll see some of these tapestries, and you think these are like duplicates, right? They'd never have the real tapestries in here, but these are actually the real tapestries. And these survived because they used to burn these because they have gold thread in them. And so you can kind of see in there, maybe not, but they had gold thread, so people would burn these just to get the gold out of it. So, but these survived time right here.
No, you just said you were but you said you threw me, but you just said you...
What? Here, these look good. Might have to grab some of those on the way out. Looks like you can get locally brewed beer here and wine. They do have an outside seating area that you can eat at. It's a really nice day out here. The food, not the cheapest thing in the world. Chicken strips and fries plus a drink. It's gonna be roughly 20 bucks, but I think we can split this, right? You think we can split this, Sammy?
Yes.
All right.
I just bring my needs. What is it, 40?
Yeah, go. This is really rough terrain, and you have to imagine like how hard it was for these guys to build this road just so they could build this mammoth castle at the top of this hill, and all these oaks and palms and bricks and antiquities and everything that goes into it had to be brought up that dirt road. I mean, it's amazing when you think about it. Make sure you wear good shoes if you come to something like this, because you will be doing a lot of walking.
A lot of stairs.
A lot of stairs, a lot of climbing.
I'll be your guide for a 60-minute tour. It's called the Grand Rooms Tour. We will visit the large entertainment rooms on the first floor of the main building. So we'll see those rooms where newspaper publisher William Randolph Hearst met with guests in the 1920s, 1930s, and 1940s. The first half of the tour is kind of a little bit leisurely. We get to walk through the gardens. We'll see the outdoor pool. And then we see those rooms, and then we end the tour at the indoor Roman pool. And it is a one-way trip. So I recommend that you take your photos as we go. We will not be coming back to any one spot. Could have stayed here if you were a guest in the early 1920s. Casa del Sol, what does that translate to? House of the Sun, yeah. So if you look through that sitting room window, do you see it below the hanging lantern? That window faces due west for a view of the setting sun. He loved the view up here. That was the main thing about this estate. Otherwise, wouldn't it have been easier to build it at the bottom of the hill? They had to haul materials in the 1920s up a 5-mile dirt road. Not to mention getting it here in the first place. So Highway 1 wasn't finished till 1937. You can imagine there were real challenges to building up here.
The original pool at Hearst Castle was nothing like what we see now. It was overhauled and made bigger and bigger by William Randolph Hearst until finally coming up with the Neptune Pool, which is arguably the biggest piece of eye candy in the world. It's got Roman statues, it's got everything you could imagine that would be over the top. They have filmed movies here in the past. I think Spartacus was filmed here. Lady Gaga, I think, did a video here. William Randolph Hearst used to heat this pool to 75 degrees. They no longer heat it. It is not open to the public, but they do have special occasions where donors can swim in it or employees can swim in it. But I love this top deck here. Isn't that beautiful, man? You just imagine swimming in that top deck, a couple feet deep, and then it cascades into the main water. One thing about this pool is that your eyes are gravitated to this eye candy in the middle, but there's so much beauty around it that you often miss it. These statues and art structures that surround this thing. I mean, you can easily miss this stuff just by focusing on the pool. So it is amazing. I mean, it's over the top in every way, and I can see why people love it.
His day, back in the 20s, was Johnny Weissmuller, first talking Tarzan. His son wrote a book about his father and said this was like a second home to him. Some people came for a long weekend, that was typical. A couple of guests stayed for at least 2 months.
My favorite thing at Hearst Castle are the gardens. I mean, it is a botanical garden. It's probably the most beautiful garden I've ever seen. The smells and the visuals. If you can get there in the spring, I mean, it is unbelievable. You think about how many people it takes to keep this looking like this does year round. I mean, it is breathtaking. I mean, look at this, man. Isn't that amazing? In fact, you know, like 15, 20 years ago, I had gone there and I was so overwhelmed by it that I actually used it as an inspiration to rebuild my own backyard into my own miniature Hearst Castle backyard. It's nothing like that, but I was totally inspired by Hearst Castle to build this garden. But yeah, it is my favorite thing at Hearst Castle. I look forward to seeing it every time I go.
That's your captain. You got a pillow on that waiting for you.
It's called an Art Deco fountain, the art between the world wars. Inspired by the finds in Egypt, you have these tiles that are found nowhere else but right here.
This obviously wasn't a cheap endeavor to do. It cost about $9 million in 1920. In today's market, with inflation, you're talking over $136 million to pull this off. One of the more fascinating stories about Hearst Castle is that of Marion Davies. She was William Randolph Hearst's mistress. He was married to Melissa Hearst, who didn't want a divorce. She was a Catholic woman, so she raised the kids in New York. And Marion Davies had her own place there, and she would host the guests when they came in. They didn't celebrate their relationship in front of people, but it was well known. And kind of a scandalous story for the 20s, but yeah, she hosted the parties and was a big part of his life. As you make your way into the main castle, you see these blocked off corridors, probably going to some kind of cellar, where you have the staircases here going up to the upper sections. Pretty sophisticated architecture for its time, but when you come into this main hall, you are immediately overwhelmed with the amount of antiquities everywhere, including these tapestries up on the wall, which are priceless. I can only imagine what they'd fetch right now. I don't know if they have a price on them, but I know they, as we mentioned before, they are enlaced with gold. A lot of this stuff was brought over from Italy, pretty amazing. I know this mantle right here, this big fireplace deal that he has, he had to win in a bidding war with somebody else that had a deep pocketbook, so it was not cheap. And I think he wanted that to be the centerpiece of this whole hall. But yeah, I mean, everywhere you look, I mean, look at the ceiling here, you know, it's amazing. You can't, there's just, your eyes are just going all over the place. You can't really take it all in, to be honest with you. There's just so much. There's the poker table.
That's right.
One of the more interesting things at the castle is the dining area. If you were a guest at Hearst Castle, you had to attend the dinner. You were not allowed to get room service. Here's a fireplace at one edge, and it's funny because Hearst used to have all the interesting people in the center around him. He would sit in the middle. And as you wore out your welcome or became less interesting, he would push you away from him towards the fireplace. And Charlie Chaplin, who stayed there for a long time, got close to that, and I think he called it the hot seat. So that's kind of interesting. The ceiling is really nice. It's got wood sculptures, I think imported from Italy. At least half of them are. I think half of them are composite, but still really neat. Your eyes just can't focus on one thing. There's just so much to look at when you're in there. So visual overload for sure. And here's one final view towards the fireplace and the hot seat, of course.
Go horseback riding. He would love to take you on a horseback riding trip. He was an expert horseman. There he is. So he had that opportunity to come here on this hilltop when he was a youth. And he learned to horseback ride with the son of the Mexican land grant owner that sold his father the land. They had a lifelong friendship.
One of the fun things that celebrities got to do was play on this unbelievable tennis court. Even in today's standards, this is a really nice tennis court. Look at that background. Can you imagine playing this thing at night? I mean, all lit up. I mean, there probably wasn't very many tennis courts that were lit up during that time. It does sit on top of the indoor pool, which we'll take a look at in a second. But man, wouldn't this be a sight, man? You see all these celebrities out here playing tennis. I mean, that would have been unbelievable. Also, too, there's a lot of artwork around the tennis court that could easily get overlooked. I mean, these are priceless pieces of art, so. The grand finale of the Hearst Castle tour is the indoor swimming pool. It is amazing in every sense of the word. What makes this even more amazing is that a lot of the tiles have 24 karat gold on them, right? And so, yeah, I don't know what that's worth, but pretty amazing. There is normally lamps around the water's edge. Those are being restored at the time. I know that there were some safety concerns. I think, you know, as far as, you know, of course, electricity next to water is never a good thing. So they may be changing that. They don't let very many people swim in this pool. There are some exceptions. I think the Hearst family has access to it at certain times of the year. They're allowed to swim in it. I think also staff members that give the tours on their final day can do a jump into the water from the platform up there you see right there. And I love the way, and I'm sure this was by design, that the reflections work, right? It's almost like you're looking at a mirror. Well, we definitely had a good time in there. Sammy, what'd you think of that?
Good, and I got a frog.
Got a frog. That was a lot of fun. The price was not bad at all. And we're gonna make one more stop before we get out of here. We're gonna stop and look at the elephant seals here on the beach. You can go down and check them out. It's really cool. So let's go check those out before we head back.
Yoo-hoo!